If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. One of the things I'll kick off, probably the subject that we start after the mod introductions is I've heard this, and I heard this come up this morning. I heard it come up yesterday morning. A lot of the times in the morning when I'm in these rooms, especially like Good Morning Real Estate, I'm usually kind of doing my thing, getting ready in the morning, getting prepped. And so I always have it on in the background. Just love to listen in on the conversations because I think it just helps, helps me understand where real estate agents are at in their minds and their business. And so, I heard a couple of times yesterday and even today about not having time, not having time to create video or, is it the best use of your time? So I think that's kind of where I want to kick this off. But Matt, if you'd like to introduce yourself briefly and then also pass it over to Justin.
For sure, yeah. Matt Lamar here in Atlanta, Georgia. Still very new to YouTube in terms of, creating content and, awareness around what I'm trying to do here in North Atlanta. But, have been closely watching and consuming, but also using that to hopefully, put myself in a better position a year from now. And yeah, Levi, I had to kind of bite my tongue during that part of the segment this morning. I'm sorry for all the background. It's raining here in Atlanta, but I kind of had to bite my tongue because I feel like it's one or the other, right? Either you legitimately don't have time and there is no time for it, period, end of story, or you say you don't have time and that's just an excuse for why you're not creating content on YouTube, because one of these things is true and the other is false, right? So I think if it's important to you, you will make time for it. And if it's not important to you, you will continue to make the excuse. And that's not a slant on that person. I can't even remember who it was that mentioned that this morning. But, to me, we're all busy on some level. And if it's important to you, you will remove other things from your calendar and you will make time and space for creating content, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or any platform for that matter. So.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. I missed Good Morning Real Estate this morning because I got asked to pinch hit in Breakfast with Champions. And what I actually did was there was a video I was putting off, and Juan knows this, for the productivity planner. And I mean, I've been trying to put this thing out for months, but I got busy with work. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go live. I'll go live on YouTube and I'll go through the entire process of creating the video and I'll put it out there. And I did a little preface to the group beforehand of this is how I come up with the idea. This is how I prep. Then you can watch me execute and then I'll revise, right? And somebody had asked in that audience, that's great, but who can I hire that's going to do all this for me, right? And it's the same question that people ask all the time, like, well, who can I just hire that's going to do social media for me? I'm like, well, I know Gary Vee and I know Ryan Serhant both manage their own social channels and they post a lot of the content themselves and they're the ones that are actually engaging and replying. And I know what my calendar is like and I can promise you it's full and I can make time. So I do think it's a self-defeating narrative that people don't have time. I think it's exactly what Matt said. It's, you choose what to do with your time. And if you choose that that's not important and it's not in your calendar, that's okay. But you're the one making the choice. There's no excuse around that, right? And I do think everybody in this room has the potential to use YouTube to create a separate 6 or 7 figure business on top of what they're already doing. And if that's not important to you, that's okay. Somebody else will do it. So.
Yeah, this morning's conversation was extremely challenging. Matt, I think you said it real well and eloquently about biting your tongue, because there are times when it's difficult. And ultimately, I think what it revolves around is the fact of where to place the value, right? Sometimes we just don't understand the value of things. And until we're exposed to it, it's very difficult to really, emphasize how important it is to invest in those opportunities, right? So when you see, the thing about YouTube, Levi specifically, is it's very tangible. YouTube shows you a lot of information about people watching your videos, how they're consuming it, what they like, what they don't, and then it leads to actual phone calls, which is that is the goal. It's very tangible, so it gives you the back end of, am I doing what people want right, or what I perceive that they want, and then it gives you the actual feedback with results in terms of conversations. And ultimately, I think if people could really see that, take a step back and really understand the power of that, then they would be far more interested in stealing time from other places. And that's something I think that we don't talk enough about. It's obvious that everybody has the same amount of time, but you've got to steal it from somewhere, right? If you're not willing to take it away from what you currently have, then you got to steal it from elsewhere to make it happen. So I really respect the points of view.
Yeah, it's great input, Juan, and I'd love to get some of your feedback on your channel if you don't mind sharing. And to the point I was going to say earlier was, I mean, here's always my mindset is that if you don't have time for video, that's exactly why you should do video. And so if you are so jam packed that I mean you're running bell to bell, and that's very difficult to scale yourself. I don't know of any other way to truly scale yourself than video. I mean, or at least maybe the best way, because I'm sure, yes, you could hire a salesperson or a sales team or an inside sales agent or a transaction coordinator or a showing agent. But at the same time, those types of tasks, they people are people, and people still get capped on their time. So a showing agent could only show so many properties in a day, and so if you really want to scale your business or you're not exactly where you want to be, I don't know of any other way to truly scale yourself than video as far as the most effective way. And again, this is going back to just what Juan said. What I do love about YouTube is all of the analytics that come with that, as far as being able to see exactly how many people are viewing, how many watch hours, and again, this is one of my favorite concepts of YouTube, but it's really in general for video, is being able to compound your time. We had a video within, it's 3 weeks old now, but this is the first time too, guys, that for the whole year we've had pretty steady eddy growth. But this one video in the last 3 weeks has almost hit 30,000 views. I mean, it literally took off. The watch time and everything consumed on that within the last 3 weeks, I couldn't, if I had 10 inside sales agents, they could not reach the amount of people that one video has reached in the last 3 weeks. And then the video after that. So what did I do? We talked about this as well. When you see something start to hit, you want to double down on those efforts. You want to, even if you have a plan, maybe you have a plan of your next 3, 4, 5 videos to make, but if one of your video hits, you should double down on that video and capitalize on what's happening at that moment. So what did I do? I released another video very similar to it, and it's also doing well. It's not as doing as well as that one, but it's hit about 8,000 views in the last 2 weeks, which again is faster than we've ever had on the entire channel. It's always been pretty steady eddy growth. So we're evaluating what is it about these two videos, but then the third and the fourth video that came out after that are also starting to gain traction. So I think I understand what a couple of the factors are there as well, but at the same time, you can't compound that. I mean, we had, I think, 6,000 views in one day. I mean, how could you reach that many people other than through video? And I know a lot of us are working towards those, but I'm also hearing a lot more of the people that have started, Juan, from the YouTube challenge and have actually started to create videos and content, are already getting calls, even with the low subscriber counts, which that's the way it all starts. And I would remind everybody too that, I mean, even after a month, our channel only had 48 subscribers, but we were starting to get calls at that point. That's what I wanted to ask you, Juan. Is I know you've revamped your channel recently. Your thumbnails look amazing. I know you've had some views take off on there. Are you starting to see some phone calls and everything come in from that?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. And today is month 4, the beginning of month 4, and I was gonna share that into the group as well. So I've been an open book with this in terms of where it is. I started my YouTube channel alongside of the challenge. That way I could be in it with everybody. And as of today, We've had 13 reach outs. I have 11 people in my CRM. And when I say that, that means they're fully qualified. I've got name, number, email, and phone number. So all of the metrics. We've had a conversation in regards to real estate, and they're in there. And to share some perspective, guys, Levi can get into stats if you want, but the big thing is I just want to kind of talk about what you were just discussing there. In my business, we have spent $1,500 a month on Google ads, right? Google display ads, $1,500 a month over the last. It will be 1 year come February, and while that has produced a very good amount of business, if I just close 50% of the business that I have in my pipeline right now from YouTube conversations in Q1, it will match at least what we close from Google paid ads. Right. And my investment there has been my time, which obviously is not small, but that's the investment made. So no monetary exchange. And then I have hired, since day one, I hired an editor. I had no interest in doing that. And that cost me $640 a month plus the $4,000 headhunting fee. Right. So when you wrap around the cost of acquiring a client and just to project it, if I close 50% of the business, which I would be shocked if it's not at least 80 because of the quality of conversations and where people are, that to me, what I see as fallout is just someone deciding not to move to Tampa, maybe they move to Miami instead. Right. That's really the only opportunity I'm not going to close because the conversations are that good. When they call, we want to work with you. What does it mean? Yesterday alone, email came in. Hey, we're looking to relocate to an area on one of my worst performing videos, right? Lowest amount of views, but it's a video that I knew people wanted. What are the best neighborhoods? I got into a specific neighborhood, and that neighborhood has produced 3 reach outs. And yesterday, the lady called and said, myself and my daughter's family want to relocate. You just tell us what we have to do.
Well, that's a great. So to follow up on that, and then I definitely want to get to David. David, good to see you, man. And so, real quick on that one too, could you speak to you mentioned quality of conversations? How has that been compared to the Google ads as well? Because even through Google ads, right? I mean, they haven't necessarily developed a relationship with you at that point, right? They saw an ad, they might have clicked on it, whatever the call to action was. So, have you found a difference in that? In addition.
Yeah, and the two main differences, right? We moved from Facebook ads years ago to Google advertisements because the cost was relatively the same, but the quality of the lead obviously was not, right? The intent of someone who goes to Google and types in, looking for real estate in blank, right? That intent obviously is there. They have interest in real estate in that location. So that as opposed to where we were coming from originally with Facebook, right? But we were using video as the strategies on Facebook in the past. So we were still building some of those relationships. But the big switch that we're seeing in YouTube, and the reason why I'm willing to keep putting my tokens in the machine, as Justin always says, is because I know those people are watching me. And the reason I know is because we're able to see the analytics, right? In a tiny little channel of 237 subscribers, we're up to over 650 hours of watch time per 28-day period, right? That's people just continuing to watch, and I'm building a relationship with them from a distance, never having to be there, right? My previous partner at my brokerage was a prospector by trade, listed 100 homes in his first year by banging in the phones. That's a superpower that I don't possess. But I'll tell you what, just based upon the small amount of work that I've done, I sit in more appointments than he does, even though I never attend a single appointment. That's the level of quality those conversations are coming to. They know, like, and trust me before the email, the Zoom call, the phone call, whatever, the text message, the DM, whatever that is. They really have built a relationship with me before that reach out ever even occurs. So by the time we're on the phone, it's just, hey, can you tell me what I need to do, or where I need to live? Those are the questions that they're really asking. Not can I vet you as a real estate professional? That's already passed. We don't need to.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that input. And also, you mentioned, investing your time, which is not small, right? Because if time is our most valuable asset, one of what I like to equate this in terms of money sometimes because everybody loves or likes to talk about money. But if it takes you 30 minutes to make one video, as soon as that video is viewed 31 minutes, you have profited 1 minute of your time. And so if time is the most valuable asset, then I think this is, video is the great way to get that return on your time. But again, whenever videos take off or they start to compound, then you're getting compound returns on your time. And to me, that is more valuable than anything because, you're able to go on, a trip last week. I went on a trip last week, didn't make any videos. Now, of course, didn't miss a scheduling, a publishing schedule because all of the videos were shot beforehand, still had videos published. But again, our lead generation didn't take a hit. Our business didn't take a hit. It was still functioning at 100%. So, real quick. So David, you jumped up here. Oh, go ahead, Matt. You want to jump in? And then I know, speaking of superpowers and on the phone, I was going to jump over to David, but go ahead, Matt, jump in.
Sure. Just a real quick point on that. I think if there's a good exercise here. If you take and since we're at the end of the year, at the end of the year, this is a good time to do it too. Take a look back at your take home, right? Take all of the income that you made, divide it by the number of hours that you worked in any given week, month, year, it doesn't matter. So if you're working 40 hours a week, we know that number is about 2,080 if you're working 52 weeks a year. So do the math, figure out if it's 40 or 50 hours a week, whatever, and then take your your net income, divided by the number of hours that you worked, and you'll get your hourly rate, right? The reason that we want to get that number is because we now know what your time is worth. So if you're able to create a video and edit a video and whatever within 30 minutes or an hour or however long it takes you, you can figure out what that quote unquote video costs you, right? The reason that's important, and Levi, I think this is worth mentioning in every room that you host here, talking about YouTube, is how much did you get paid per?
Well, now it's funny. The number was lower when we first talked, but yeah, a video is worth about $8,000 right now.
Exactly. So, it's worth stating, I think, that if you got 8,600 views on one single video, David could go out and call 8,600 people. The difference is the conversation, right? If you were going to get 8,600 views on a video, that's soft. They're finding you. David's having to call those people. And David, if we had to work out your time, and I'm not bashing David, by the way. I love David, by the way. I just want to make that super clear. It's just a difference of how we go about getting business, right? So even if you are a killer on the phone, to reach 8,600 people times your hourly rate is going to take a long time. There's just no way around it. So just wanted to state that real quick, because anyone that's thinking about doing this, there is a cost, of course, but there's also a huge benefit. So anyway.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. And yeah, hey, Levi, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. I always run into Levi at the EXP events. It's cool. So listening, well, first off, I will just second, what everybody's saying. I mean, YouTube videos are definitely evergreen, meaning they are there. And I have an old video to Matt's point. I have an old video on YouTube from I think it's like 2011 that has I want to say it's close to 30,000, if not over 30,000, and it's me making live FSBO calls. And that video still on a daily basis gets more hits than any other video we have up. And that's 11 years old. So it just shows how powerful YouTube is when it comes to Evergreen. Now, I do not do as good of a job as I should with YouTube, so I'm not claiming to be an expert. But what I can tell you about video, which I think Juan was talking about, is we have built out training platforms. And what we're doing is using video to train. And I was just having this conversation earlier with one of my clients. He's bringing on new agents. So what we need to do now is we need to take either a Kajabi or some type of a training platform and videoize his processes and systems so that when a new agent joins, all they have to do now is log in, go through the training, pass the test, and then they qualify. And I think that was when I heard that, it's really what helped me raise my hand. And then I'm just going to wrap with this. So Matt, to your point, on the cold calling. Yes, I built my businesses on cold calling. Now I have 2 ladies, and they're both in the Philippines. And one of them I pay $5 an hour, and she will out prospect. I would put my money on most people in this room. She said 3 appointments with us for me last week for my agents. And the reason being is because we created videos and role played with her, but created videos that she watches on almost a daily basis on not just how to call, but how to follow up and how to set up the system. So I just wanted to share that because that's how powerful videos are. So I think when you think about what I just shared, not just posting stuff on YouTube, which is phenomenal, but what else can you do with these videos? How do you use them to scale and build your business? So just wanted to add that. Hope that's helpful for somebody. My name is David, and done speaking. Thank
Yeah,
you.
man, absolutely. I love that you mentioned that too, because I know a lot of people get into the business thinking they got to be in production forever, right? But you can build an organization using video. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's amazing that you're getting those results.
Yeah, David, and I was thinking, imagine just what we talked about a little bit earlier, right? Capitalize on your wins, take advantage of the platform that is returning the most for you. And if you have a video that is 10 years old and still the most, I would say, imagine what your skills are like today on calling FISBOs and making cold calls. And just if you made those videos today, what kind of traction could you gain on that? Plus, on top of that, I know that you're looking to build your organization. So what would that do from a training standpoint to reaching agents that you may never ever meet in personally, but they're on YouTube and they're looking for information on how to call FISBOs, how to call expireds, how to cold call, those types of things. That's how you can duplicate yourself. I think it's one of the best ways to build your organization, which I believe you're interested in doing as well. And so if you think about that from an attraction standpoint, you do have the skills in that particular area dialed in. And so I would capitalize that off of that, and I would make 10 more videos off of calling FISBOs. And the thing is that every time you do that, it's a different conversation. So literally, if you still spend an hour or two a week or whatever it is making those calls, you should absolutely record those and upload them to your YouTube channel, because people will come back for that, because they'll always be wanting to see your skills improving, the different types of conversations, all of those types of things. Now, it may not attract clients, but again, if you're trying to grow your team or your organization, then it's an amazing way to attract agents. So, and if you're still getting hits off of one that's 10 years old, imagine with your 10 years of experience under your belt now, how good those videos would be. But I would do them over and over and over again. Have you thought of that, or are you doing that now? Or
Good question, Levi. And it's funny because the video that gets the most views is still, I mean, if you go to my YouTube page, you'll see, if you go to however you search by most views, you'll see it. And I'm actually embarrassed by the video now. Like at the time, I thought it was great, but it's like you said, I am at a next level, 5 times higher level than I was back then. So I think to your point, I probably do need to make some newer videos and kind of highlight some of the changes. So that's actually a really, really good idea. Appreciate you saying
Man, David, well, I was going to say, David, if you only have one video, I think I have like 100 terrible videos up there
that.
that I always go back to, and I'm like, golly, man, that was rough. Like, I don't even watch. I'll watch like 1 or 2 of them that are 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm like, this is terrible. I can't watch anymore. So I love that you mentioned.
yeah, I don't know. I got to check that out now, David, because I don't know. All I know is that you're one cool cat, man. Right? So I think your videos now, just doing what you're doing. I mean, think about the flow state you're in now. I mean, I assume you make calls just second nature. It's your thing. You're actually excited to do that, and think about comparing that to 10 years ago. And actually, if you still have that footage, well, you can actually download that video. So even if you don't have the raw footage from that 10-year-old video, you should do your own reaction video to your video, and then use that as a way to say, hey, you should check out some of my new. Yeah,
I
you
love
should
that.
do a react, yeah, side by side and be like, oh my god, I mean, you've got a different look, probably a different tone in your voice, a different flow, and then if you really want to get crazy with it, you could do a side by side video to where you download that video from YouTube, and let's say you made 5 or 10, let's just say you made 10 calls. Well, make another video of you now making 10 calls, and then do like a split screen, and you could play your old video and then play the new one, right? Basically play that old one, pause it, and then would play you making a new call, and then you could compare like 10 phone calls side by side in the same video. I bet you that would be money right there.
Dude, you just paid off my whole week worth of investment into Clubhouse. Maybe even my whole month. So thank you for that. That's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. Well, cool, man. Yeah, feel free to chime in or jump in if you got anything else. Or let's jump down to Rose. We had Rose join the stage. How are you, Rose? Could you introduce yourself, and then do you have a question or comment?
Good morning. My name is Rose. I'm a realtor in Houston. Yes, I have a question for you, Levi. Since the last time we talked, I think it's been a month when you analyzed one of my video, and I've went and I changed some of my thumbnails, and then I've been pretty consistent, and started to see some growth on my channel. My questions to you: how do you stay motivated, to make the video? Because even if you get everything prepared, have you ever have a day where your mind is just not grasping and on making video? How do you go about to change your mindset and to say, okay, I just have to do it? And I'm done speaking.
Yeah. Hey, Rose. I think I think a lot of people struggle with that, and I would say that it's still time to time, as much as I do make videos, maybe the same with David, or as far as making phone calls, even though as good as he is, and even though sometimes as good as I think I may be on video, sometimes I have those days where seems a little off or not quite there. And so I think it's just, you always want to have your end goal in mind, what you're working towards. The fact that you mentioned you've seen that improvement coming, to me, those small improvements, that growth is what usually motivates me. As long as I can see the needle moving, then that motivates me. And the thing is that pretty much anything we do is always a struggle, always more challenging in the beginning, but now we do it more often, we get used to it. And that could be, changing eating habits. It could be working out. It could be, studying for your real estate exam, right? Getting your real estate license was probably extremely overwhelming, and maybe there's a day you didn't feel like studying. But it's also, I don't know if I necessarily believe in motivation. I believe in, like, you're either interested in what you're doing or you're not. Or I believe that also, like, motion creates emotion. So once you actually start doing something, you tend to get more in the mood. There's a book where one of the quotes is, and it's for PG purposes, the book is called "Unscrew Yourself." So with a little different language on there. But one of the chapters in there is, I am not my thoughts, I am what I do. And what that means is that we'll tell ourselves, it's kind of like getting out of bed in the morning. Like this morning, I woke up and I was like, man, I'm tired. And I was sitting there, and I start every single morning almost. It's pretty much the same for me, where I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, I swear I just went to bed. I didn't even feel like I slept. And even though I may sleep all the way through the night, I just feel like I don't sleep sometimes, and I feel like I'm just waking up. It's like I lay my head down on the pillow, and then I open my eyes, and it's time to go again. And the negative or the self-defeating talk sets in for me every morning, where it's like, man, and especially when it starts to get a little bit colder right now too. The bed is so warm, the heater's on, and it's like, oh, I could just sleep 10 more minutes, 20 more minutes, 30 more minutes. Do I need to work out today? But that's what my mind starts doing. But what I do is I immediately sit up and I turn on my lamp and I grab my book of my goals that I'm going to start writing out. And so that whole process of, I'm not my thoughts, I am what I do, is that you can just move your body. I mean, really, that's what it's kind of breaking down to, is that if you just move your body and get into motion, then the negative self-talk, the negative thoughts will tend to go away. But also, it's just like warm up. If you're warming up for a workout, you know, your body starts to warm up, and then next thing you know, you're like, okay, this feels kind of okay. And now you may be doing a much tougher workout, and then you're like, okay, this sucks. But then at the end of it, normally usually we always feel better, or we always feel like, oh man, I'm so glad I did that, I'm so accomplished. And think about the days that we skip workouts, or we skip what we're supposed to do, or we skip the calls, or we skip making that video. We always feel worse. We always feel like, damn, I shouldn't have done that, or why did I do that? You know, it's a lot harder, I believe, to face myself at the end of the day when I don't do stuff versus whenever I just do it. um, when I was in the military too, I actually have this tattoo, which is to have peace, prepare for war. And it was a military saying, which means, you know, hey, to have peace, prepare for war. Now, what I equate that to in civilian world, or even today's work, is that for me to have peace at the end of the day, I need to go out there and battle. You know, I need to battle with myself, my mind, with maybe possibly other agents in negotiations, or whatever the case may be, making videos. All of that is necessary for me to be able to have peace of mind at the end of the day. And I'm always more disappointed with myself and frustrated if I skip something, or put it off, or procrastinate. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. And my next question is, um, for like, because I see you do a lot of neighborhood videos and things like that. And based from one of my video, I kind of like going toward that route. And my question is, I find it a lot of some of those like master plan community, when I talk to them, they are very open to let you take video to toward what the community has to offer. Do you think those type of videos should be a neighborhood vlog, or should we incorporate it to when you're making like best neighborhood video? What are your thoughts?
Uh, I'm not sure if I understand the question. I think, I mean, I know that people enjoy the neighborhood videos. So, is your question like, should you make, should you be outside making neighborhood videos or community videos?
When let's say I call a community like the homeowner association, because some of the master plan community, they have the office that opens 7 days a week in the community. When I talk to those ladies, they and I ask them if I can come in and make a tour, like a video tour of the community, not precisely the community, because like the gyms they have inside, some of the amenity, they said it's okay to come in and I can make an appointment with them and video inside the facility. So what I am asking, is it better to do a video vlog for those type of video, or is it more the type of video where you say, okay, what is this community has to offer, and here's the amenity, and then you show the video of the amenity? That's what I am asking. Hope that makes.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. So, I mean, I mean, it can go either way. I mean, usually for time's sake. And, you know, I don't know. I personally don't want to walk into a gym at a community center and, um, you know, like film me talking in there or anything like that. I suppose. I think because if there's people working out, I don't know. I think it's a little awkward for both of us, right? People working out and myself. Now, what I might do is walk in there and just scan the weight room for 3 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, because really that's all you need. If you scan a room or an area or something like that, you know, the pool, maybe there's people out at the pool and you don't want to sit there and like do a whole talking video in the middle of the pool, which, you know, I don't really recommend. I don't want to, as much as I do video outside, I mean, that stuff kind of makes me a little uncomfortable too sometimes. So it's like, if I want to just scan area for 3 to 4 seconds just to have that clip, then that can always be added in. And so that way, if you're just in the community in general and you say, by the way, they have an amazing weight room here, it's got free weights, it's got dumbbells, it's got ellipticals, it's got Pelotons. And then, if whether you're editing or you have an editor editing, they can add in that little 3 to 4 second clip of that video you took inside there, and it just makes it simple. Plus, it's also more time efficient as well, I believe, if you just take some short videos and have that added in. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's answer my questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Juan, I know you've been out more and more. Do you have any feedback on that or what you've been working on?
The vlog style video for me has gotten the most conversation so far. I've limited, amount of videos to pull from. I think we just posted our 21st video. But those have from the reach out, it's come specifically from those videos. The average view duration on the stuff that I'm doing desktop is better, to be quite honest, Levi. So the thing that I haven't been able to shake out yet is, are they watching 3 to 4 other videos first before they reach out on that community video? But it seems like they get off to a quicker start right out of the gate as well. Just again, with my limited amount of videos I have, we've only been doing one a week. We've been very consistent with that. The first week we did 3, and I got COVID, got way behind, and have just decided 1 is good for now, to get ahead. And it's
Oh, yeah, great. And another thing, Rose, is that if you do neighborhood or vlog or outdoor videos first, and you take all those little 3 to 4 second video clips of everything, you don't have to talk about everything in that video initially, but it's really great for, just as Juan said, if you make a video from your home office or an indoor video, maybe it's going to rain for a week where you're at, or it's going to snow for the next month. Now use the time, the weather. I would get as much footage as you can, because you don't have to talk about every single thing you film in a given day. You can always save that footage, so that way if you make an office video and you're talking about pros and cons or cost of living, or you're walking people through a neighborhood on the map or something, then it keeps those office videos a lot more interesting when you can add in that additional B-roll, and which is that additional footage on top of that. That way it's just not you talking the whole time. It breaks up the video, it breaks up everything, but it's easier to do that if you make those neighborhood videos or outdoor videos first. Or if that's something that you just do not want to do whatsoever, I would still recommend going out and getting all those clips. The thing is as an agent, hopefully you're out in your community all the time. And so if you're out in your community all the time, you should be taking 3 to 4 second videos, I believe, of everywhere you go. And then you can use that. And that way, if you never want to do an outdoor video of walking and talking, then you can make office videos, and you have all your live and raw footage that you've taken yourself that can be used to help people still see what it is you're talking about. So does that help out?
Yes, that's help out. And yes, I am out all the time. And I don't want to be pride, but most of my builder in my neighborhood, if you call, they know who I am. Yeah. So I will keep that in mind. So now I know which direction to take. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then I want to jump, David, I wanted to ask you real quick, just going back on the mindset thing. I mean, I think a lot of people find making phone calls and, very challenging, mainly from a mindset perspective. So is there anything you do every time, or are you just in a second nature mode now, or is there anything that you do, or what helped you get through that in the beginning? If David is there. If he's not, we can move over to Mia. Mia, do you have a question? How are you today? Always good to see you and hear from you.
I'm good, thank you. My question actually to you, Levi, is you were talking about taking David's videos of his cold calling and making videos of them, but I don't think, has to tell the person that he's videoing or, taping them as long as he does not use those, it's really for educational purposes. But if I was a for sale by owner and you called me and said, oh, well, for educational purposes, we are recording this call, I think that they would hang up. And then if they heard themselves in like YouTube, I I think they could sue you, correct? It's just like seeing somebody's face without getting their permission. Yeah? No?
Well, if you so a couple of things on that, and if you don't mind, could you go on mute, Mia, real quick? And so, well, first and foremost, yes, always abide by the laws of your area. So, what that pertains to, I will say here in Texas, that in Texas, you are allowed to record any type of conversation as long as one person knows that the conversation is being recorded. And the funny thing about that is that I'm that person. So if I'm recording a conversation legally in Texas, I can record a conversation because I know that I'm recording. Now, is that fair to the other person? Well, I guess that could be disputed in a court of law, but the according to the law in Texas, they probably wouldn't have much ground to stand on because that's the way the law is written in Texas. Now, the thing is also I believe the intent. So the intention is not to defame or hurt a for sale by owner at all whatsoever. Your intention is for educational purposes. Now, if they say their name or you say the property address or something like that in the video, I absolutely believe you should bleep that out or edit it or do something to protect their identity. But otherwise, from the standpoint of a for sale by owner going onto YouTube and finding that video and recognizing their voice too, I think those chances are highly unlikely. But if they were to reach out and say, hey, I know that was my conversation, I'm not comfortable with that, ultimately it would be your choice if you wanted to remove that video or not, which you could do that on top of it. So, or you could also unlist it and make it where it's not public, and then you could still have that video for training your team or something like that. So I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I can't speak to the legalities of everything or your state in particular, but yeah, I mean, we always want to be respectful and courteous to people. And again, I don't think we're doing anything out of malice or trying to hurt anybody. So it's something that I would be comfortable doing to help, you know, try to expand my team or grow my team or attract team members or for training purposes. I would be okay with that. So that's just where I stand. Does that help out?
Yeah, I'd probably want to get one view on it, and I can understand that, but and I didn't realize. I thought you had to get their permission to be recorded. So I guess I'll look
Well,
into that.
that could vary from state to state. I'm just saying that in Texas, we can do that.
Okie doke. Well, yes, that answers my question, and thank you very much for letting me.
All right. David, are you there? Did you make it back? If not, we can move over to Jan. What's up, Jan? How are you?
Hey Levi, how's it going? Thank you so much for the great room. First of all, I wanted to say I have so much respect for all you do, and now that I know you have been in military, just thank you for your service. And I follow you everywhere, man. You are making like you're doing great. Thank you so much for generously sharing your points. I just have a quick question. I have in my resolution to start next year with the YouTube because I'm pretty active on the other sides of social media and the web, and YouTube I'm not that active. So I'm gonna get it a kick start, and I wanted to know what would be your advice? Just imagining yourself and you just started. What is the best way? What should I do to get it going and get it started on the right foot? And so, what would be your advice for someone who just wants to start on YouTube in real estate space? And yeah, just looking for your
Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate the kind words. And are you in Los Angeles or Louisiana?
Yeah, Los Angeles. Yeah, so in SoCal, in Southern California, Los Angeles, and South Bay.
Well, first of all, you've got probably one of the most beautiful backdrops, right? I mean, are you working the coast any down there?
Yeah, absolutely. All the beach cities. Our office is in Redondo Beach, so I'm close to Manhattan Beach, Hermosa, all those beach cities, Palos Verdes, and then I live in LA, so West LA, San Fernando Valley, so I cover all like quite a bit of LA.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome, man. I mean, I think you got one of the best backdrops. This is where always tell the people in LA or Colorado or Florida or anywhere with mountains and beach and everywhere other than Dallas. I mean, I feel like Dallas, to me, sometimes has a little bit of the more boring backdrop, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I think, well, first of all, yeah, get started, have the plan, decide how many videos you're going to publish per week. And let's just say that's 2 videos per week. Then I highly, highly recommend you record at least 8 videos first. So that way you have a month's worth of content before you release those. And so that way, when you schedule that, and you have a month's worth of content scheduled out, 2 videos per week for the next 4 weeks, that it gives you the next month to make your next 8 videos. Now, you also need to choose what's the best way for you to do that to fit that in your schedule. What will you stick with? Will you record exactly 2 videos per week? Or will you record 4 videos every 2 weeks? Or will you record 8 videos in one day? And what is going to work best with your schedule? What can you block off to do that? But ultimately, you pick your schedule, record your first month of content first, and then commit to yourself to being consistent on that. So if you're going to record 2 videos a week, that's why it's key to have a month's worth of content, because if you stick to that recording 2 videos a week, you're always going to be a month ahead on content, right? Because you film 2 videos and it's not going to be published for another month out because you've already got the next 6 videos scheduled. So that helps stay consistent. Now, the thing is if you are recording just 2 videos per week, if something happens, you go on vacation, family member gets sick, anything like that kind of derails your weekly schedule, well, you kind of lose that week. So then you got to make that decision. Do you record 4 videos the next week? Or, ultimately you want to do everything you can to stay on schedule, to stay consistent. To me, that's really the most important thing in the beginning, because you will develop a habit from there. It will become second nature. It will become a process, a part of your process. It'll become a part of your routine. It'll become a part of your non-negotiables, to do that. And so consistency to me is absolutely critical in the beginning, not just from a mindset and an achievement standpoint, but also from a YouTube standpoint. Well, I think one of the worst things you can do is kill your channel from the beginning by being extremely inconsistent. And so, not only from a YouTube standpoint, but from a viewer standpoint, if viewers come to your channel and they like your content and then they don't see something for 2 or 3 weeks, they can lose interest. They can go elsewhere. They might find other channels in the meantime. But if you have that consistent content coming out from the beginning, then they know they can rely on you. And also, we get the comments all the time that people appreciate the amount of work that they see us doing. So the fact that we are consistent, we don't miss weeks, we're always publishing videos, tend to get better and better, then they appreciate that. We get the feedback all the time, and even to the point now where people ask us if we have time to work with them. So they can see from the standpoint that from all the comments, all the consistent publishing and everything, it's as if clients interview us now if we will actually have time to work with them. So that's a great position to be in too, because whenever you do say, yes, I do have time to work with you, then they feel even more special on top of that. So does that help you out, Jan?
That's phenomenal. Yeah, that's great. Just another question on that is like, what is the minimum time you would recommend for a video? Like I know for Instagram, for example, It can be a short video, you know, but for YouTube, what is the minimum you want to see on a video?
Yeah, your video needs to be as long as your video needs to be, which means don't leave anything out. You know, make sure you provide all the relevant information, but don't add fluff. You know, don't just talk to keep talking. You know, make your points, say what's relevant, what needs to be said, and let it happen. You know, I've actually, one of the videos we have coming out in the next week or two is 10 minutes. It's probably I believe it is the shortest video that we've ever done on the channel. But I'm okay with that because it covered what we needed to cover. Now, the longest video I have is an hour. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody, but I had a lot of information to cover. And plus, I was testing it. I was testing to see, you know, could it hold attention? Would it be relevant? And would that even work? Now, it's not like I'm trying to make hour-long videos all the time. I've actually never made an hour-long video since then, but it's still one of the best performing videos that we have. And so that just tells me that people are looking for the information, they're researching, and they're willing to consume it if the topic stays relevant during the video. Now, if I would have went off on a tangent or started talking about um, you know, my travels or, you know, all kinds of other stuff that's not related to what they were looking for, then that could be a problem. But again, you know, when we release a 10-minute video here in the next week or two, it's not anything where I said, oh, hey, we need to go back and add another 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 minutes. You know, I would never say that because I watched the video and I'm like, okay, we said what we needed to say. It just happened to be a little bit shorter than usual, but no big deal. I'm not worried about that. So you want to make the content to make the content. Ultimately, in YouTube's eyes, each video lives on its own. So if you have a 5-minute video, what's most important to YouTube is how long does somebody watch that video? Do they watch it for a quarter of the time, half the time, 3/4 of the time, or the whole 5 minutes on average? So when you look at your average view duration, that's very important to understand because it doesn't matter if you make a 4-minute video, a 5-minute video, 15-minute video, or an hour video. What's the average view duration? Anywhere between really 30% and above is ideal. So if you make a 10-minute video and it only gets 1 to 2 minutes average view duration, you need to understand or at least evaluate, you know, where are you losing people? How come the interest wasn't held? Why are they jumping off? And so if you have view durations that are 30, 40, 50%, and really 50% is really the ideal average, but you know, between 30 to 50%, then you know you've got a good quality video that is, you know, keeping the attention for the necessary amount of time. So, you know, ideally just create the content, make the video as relevant as possible with the information that's needed, and it needs to be as long as it needs to be. Does that make sense?
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Yeah, very helpful. Thanks a lot. Keep rocking.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Jan. And yeah, feel free to reach out. You can DM me or whatnot if you want to get a little bit more in depth on, you know, kind of working through and starting your channel and whatnot. So anyways, I think that wraps up the questions unless anybody else on stage has a question, and we're coming up to our hard stop anyways. So if there's not any other questions on stage or in the back channel, I don't have anything in the back channel. So with that, I will say going once, going twice. Alrighty, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Hopefully you found this helpful. And yeah, feel free to reach out. You can hit me up on Instagram if you want, if you have any other additional questions or you know, want to talk through starting your channel or needing some help or anything like that. Follow the club at the top, Real Estate All Day, little greenhouse, and check my bio if you wish. We do have a YouTube group as well that you can join in if you wish. So happy to have you there. But otherwise, see you guys next week. But I'm sure I'll talk to some of you before then. So have a great day. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching all for free, schedule a call at 5starstrategycall.com.